Welcome to the Explainer. I'm Dr. Mira, and today we're absolutely cracking the code on research. I see this all the time in my office. A weak research question makes your entire study fuzzy and unclear. But a strong, structured question, well, that tells you exactly what to study, where to search, and precisely what evidence to collect. So let's transform those fuzzy, broad ideas into precise, answerable research logic. So why do so many research projects fail before they even really get off the ground? It's a provocative question, right? But the truth is, early career researchers often dive headfirst into these massive literature reviews without a true compass. And let me tell you, without a meticulously structured question, you are basically flying blind. It usually comes down to what I like to call the vague topic trap. A student will walk in and say they want to study AI in education or psychological stress. But here's the reality check. A broad topic is not a research question. Starting with a vague concept leaves your entire study totally directionless. If you hit a database with just a broad topic, you are instantly going to drown in thousands of completely irrelevant articles. Let's look at a case study from my own files. A researcher named Cheryl. She came to me with this messy, chaotic idea, scoliosis treatments. It was total chaos in the databases. But then we refined it to, in patients with adolescent idiopathic scoliosis, how effective is bracing compared to observation at reducing spinal curvature? Instantly, her research had clear boundaries. But how exactly do we make that leap? Section 1. PICO for quantitative studies. Think of a blank PICO template as your ultimate question-building dashboard. Honestly, before you write a single paragraph of your literature review, you need to sit down and break your fuzzy topic into these distinct, highly searchable columns. PICO stands for population, intervention, comparative intervention, and outcome. It acts as a strict, almost mathematical formula for therapeutic and quantitative questions. You're essentially asking, for this specific population, does this intervention, when compared to this comparative intervention, actually result in this outcome? When we mapped Cheryl's broad idea onto this exact framework, everything changed. Her population became patients with adolescent idiopathic scoliosis. Her intervention was bracing. Her comparative intervention was just standard observation. And her outcome was reducing curvature. Just like that, we turned a broad medical topic into core research logic. Now, the absolute key here is that the outcome in PICO has to be measurable. Cheryl couldn't just say her patients were getting better. No way. She specified her exact tools, the Cobb angle to measure spinal curvature, alongside specific, validated quality of life scales. Now she knows exactly what data she needs to extract from the literature. And this works beautifully across all quantitative fields. Take another case file. Mary, who is researching domestic violence. Her population, women who have experienced domestic violence. Intervention, advocacy programs. Comparison, general practice. And outcome, quality of life measured by the SF-36 scale. PICO isolates variables perfectly, no matter the topic. Section 2, SPICE, for the social sciences. Now, what if you aren't doing a clinical study? Well, you're going to need a different dashboard. Enter SPICE, setting, perspective, intervention, comparison, and evaluation. Notice how SPICE uses setting rather than a clinical population. That's because in the social sciences, like studying a university, a private business, or a library, the environment is just as critical as the people. It also captures the human perspective of the intervention, which makes it an absolute game changer for health policy and management research. Section 3. SPIDER for qualitative research. But what if your study isn't about numbers at all? What if it's about human experiences? That's where SPIDER comes in. It's uniquely designed for qualitative and mixed method studies. Sample, phenomenon of interest, design, evaluation, and research type. If you compare this directly to PICO, you'll see that qualitative research deals with experiences, not medical interventions. So instead of an intervention, SPIDER uses a phenomenon of interest. And most importantly, it explicitly bakes your study design, like semi-structured interviews, right into the dashboard. It's literally the perfect net for catching relevant qualitative literature. Section 4. The final question checklist. Okay, here is the ultimate payoff for using these frameworks. Filling out a PICO, SPIC, or SPIDER template directly generates your inclusion and exclusion criteria. If an article in a database doesn't match your clearly defined population, you just exclude it. This structured logic is exactly what saves researchers hundreds of hours of wasted reading. Before you type a single word into a search bar, I want you to run your question through this final checklist. Is your population clearly defined? Is the method totally specific? Can this question directly generate search synonyms for your databases? Because if you can check all those boxes, your question is finally ready to go. I want to leave you with one absolute golden rule for your research journey. Do not start with a topic. Start with a structured question. Frameworks like Pico, Spice, and Spider aren't just extra academic busywork. They're the architectural blueprints for your entire study. So if you can't map your idea right now, step back, grab a template, and crack the code. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy researching.